Hello everyone! Welcome to Scrapped Steam Locos of Britain. Each week, we'll take a look at a class of locomotives that did not make it into preservation. All of these classes will be standard gauge and owned by either a pre-grouping railway company, one of the big four railway companies, and or British Railways. While some classes will get a new build member, most classes will be scrapped and likely remain scrapped. Here we go! Our next episode is on the BR Standard 3MT Moguls. In 1954, Robert Riddles realized the need for a locomotive that was light but powerful for working on secondary routes. The 2MT Moguls were light enough to handle some trains, but they weren't powerful enough for said trains. The 4MT tanks and 4MT Moguls, by contrast, had the power, but were too heavy for some routes. Impressed by the success of the 3MT tanks, which were designed to fulfill a similar need on branch lines and secondary routes, Riddles decided to adapt the design and make what was essentially a tender engine version. Like the tanks, the 3MT Moguls had the same 200 psi boiler based on the Swindon No. 2 boiler as used on the large prairies. However, the boiler was nearly 6 inches shorter in barrel length. The 5'3" driving wheels were the same as those used on the Ivet 4MTs, better known as Flying Pigs. Whoosh! Anyway, the cylinders were 17.5 by 26 inches, again the same as the Pigs. The tractive effort was 21,486 pounds. The 3MT Mogul shared a number of features on locomotives built to George Ivet's design. The chassis was similar to those fitted to the Pigs, whereas the motion brackets were based on those fitted to the Ivet 2MT Moguls and Ivet 2MT tanks. Unlike most BR standards, the 3MT Moguls had a steel fabricated exhaust system as part of the smokebox saddle, rather than a separate casting inside the saddle. Although they shared the same driving wheel diameter and cylinder casting as the 4MT Moguls, neither the 3MT Moguls nor 3MT tanks shared the same design of parts as the former class. The 3MT Moguls did, however, share the same 3,500 gallon BR2A type tender as used on the 4MT 460s and the 4MT Moguls. Like their tank engine counterparts, the 3MT Moguls were all built at Swindon. Unlike the 3MT tanks, however, the Moguls were built between February and September 1954 with only 20 members. These were numbered 77,000 to 77,019. Half of the class, numbers 77,000 to 77004, and numbers 77010 to 77014, were initially allocated to the northeastern region. The remaining 10, numbers 77005 to 77009, and 77015 to 77019, were allocated to the Scottish region. The class had an axle loading of 16.25 tons, making it possible for them to work in these areas. Although the Scottish region allocations moved around depots on occasions, the northeastern region allocations moved around frequently. It was hard to find work for the northeastern region 3MT Moguls, as most of their duties could be handled by larger locomotives such as the standard 4MT Moguls. Initially, all 10 of the northeastern region examples were allocated to Darlington. However, between July 1954 and January 1955, 8 moved to West Auckland, whilst the last two, numbers 77013 and 77014, stayed at Darlington before being transferred to Whitby in October 1955. 2 more, numbers 77004 and 77012, were later reallocated to Whitby as well. Number 77014 was reallocated to Blaydon in October 1956. The northeastern region examples were mostly centered around Hull, York, and Scarborough, to name a few areas. One route that they called home was the Stainmore route from Darlington to T Bay. Here, they worked alongside the Flying Pigs, Standard 4MT Moguls, Ivet 2MT Moguls, and Standard 2MT Moguls. Meanwhile, those in Scotland were initially allocated to Perth, Hamilton, and Hurlford. Here, they worked over ex-Glasgow and Southwestern and ex-Caledonian Railway lines. In November 1964, numbers 77011 and 77014 were reallocated to Northwich, which was in the London Midland region. In doing this, they became the only members of their class to move to another region. Impressively, the class was the last of the British Railway standards to remain intact until the first withdrawal. This was number 77010 from Stourton in November 1965. The following year saw most of the class wiped out. In April the same year, number 77014 moved to the southern region, being allocated to Guildford. Here, she was used on rail tours and various odd jobs. By 1967, only 3 members were left. These were numbers 77002 and 77012 at York North, and the aforementioned 77014 at Guildford. The York North allocations were withdrawn in June. However, number 77014 soldiered on until the 9th of July, when she hauled the last regular steam-hauled passenger train on the southern region. She was then towed to Birds of Risca in southeast Wales and scrapped 5 months later. This series is inspired by Locomotives of Great Britain by Rail Air Land and Sea and Top 10 Extinct British Steam Locomotives by Pendennis Castle. Links to their channels are in the description below. As always, if you have any suggestions for a locomotive you would like me to cover, then let me know in the comments below and I may include it in a future episode. If you like what you see and you want to see more content like this, then feel free to like and subscribe. I shall see you next time when I discuss the Highland Railway Ben class. Take care everyone, goodbye for now.